Stop hoping for your business to grow and start mastering the formula for success that every entrepreneur needs to grow their business. Join us for 5+1 Mastery, where every week we go in depth on how to grow your business the right way. Learn more at 5+1mastery.com.
They were in the trenches. They were with the grunts. They were with the people that were doing the grind, and they recognized people going above and beyond and just doing the extra things, not because someone's watching them, because that's who they are. That's how they're wired.
I'm your host, Chaz Wilson. I bring you successful entrepreneurs, add valuable wisdom to your journey, and help you succeed. Welcome to Connect, Share, and Prosper.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Connect, Share, Prosper. I'm your host, Chaz Wilson, founder and president of Master Networks, and super excited today for our guest. Let me do a quick introduction. But to tell you, as always, if you're interested in networking and want to learn the art and science behind how to effectively network, come see us at masternetworks.com. Let me tell you about our guest today. Gary has been married to Dana for 26 years, has 2 children and 4 grandchildren. And Gary is a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, and upon his honorable discharge, attended Texas Tech University. Gary and his wife, Dana, have over 20 years in various financial industries, including time spent at the largest credit bureau. They're both founders and still operate D&G Credit, and Gary credits their membership in Master Networks in helping grow D&G into a nationwide company. Due to the relationships and connections that have been built through the Master Networks organization. Now, several years ago, Gary became, and in fact, Dana was actually the 3rd person sponsored in the Texas North region, which is pretty exciting. And then they became success coaches soon after. And at one point, Gary and Dana were success coaches over, get this guys, 18 chapters in the region. 2 years ago, Gary and Dana became regional partners in the Texas North region. And it was through the adherence of the commitment to culture and the belief in the Master Network system that has made the Texas North region so successful. And so I want to help me welcome, if you will, Gary LaRue to Connect, Share, Prosper. Welcome.
Thank you, Chaz. Thank you so much for having me on this great podcast.
And what a record of accomplishment you've had. You've had several successful careers, and then to join that into Master Networks has been pretty exciting.
Yeah, thanks. And, one of the things I've had some successful careers and there's been transitions, not due to my wishes, right? Things happen within industries and economies and companies. But, I think one of the things that I've tried to do is take lessons from all of those and take the best of those experiences and build onto the next experience and so forth and so on. So I've taken the best of all those opportunities along the way, kind of married them all together to use some of those skills and talents and lessons to build D&G and also to build the Texas North region as well.
Well, we'll get to business in just a second. I want to start with something, though. I want to ask you, because I see over your shoulder a flag.
Yeah. And
I see the United States Marine Corps. As I mentioned in the introduction, you served in the Marine Corps, which thank you for your service, Gary. I always admire, the service of those and our servicemen and women. I want to ask you, though, what was the pull for you to join the military and specifically the Marine Corps? Take us back to that time.
That's a great question. So I'm the middle child. I've got an older brother and a younger brother. So three boys in the household.
Yeah.
And my dad always told us growing up, when you turn 18, you have 3 choices. You can go to trade school, you can join the military, or you can go to college. None of those choices involve you living here.
Right.
He was very clear about that our whole life growing up.
Yeah.
And he was a veteran of the Air Force. And I said to myself, I played sports. I was always an athletic kid. And I said to myself, well, heck, I can go in the Air Force right now. It's not a challenge. I want to be physically challenged. And so I figured, well, what's the toughest branch of the service to challenge yourself? And now some people may look at that and say, well, you're a knucklehead because the pay's the same. Across all the different branches, the pay is actually the same. Why would you go into the hardest, the ones that, is the most daunting and all those things? And I said, well, because I wanted a challenge. And, I wanted to challenge myself. And even as a young person, you see people rocking on their porch when they're older or in a bar and they never said, yeah, I wish I joined the Air Force, or I wish I joined the Navy. And don't get me wrong, I love everybody that joined every branch of the service, but you always run across people that say, yeah, I wish I joined the Marine Corps. Yeah, I could have joined the Marine Corps. And I said, well, if all those people have those regrets, let's go for that. And let's go for that and give that one a shot. So I got to tell you something. I love my time in the Marine Corps. I wouldn't have traded for anything else. I advocate for everybody. I think it's kind of hard, and I think it's unrealistic to ask an 18-year-old person what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Right.
Because you just don't know yet. You're still trying to figure out, who am I as a person? You haven't even evolved yet. And, there's studies that say, females obviously mature physically, mentally, and emotionally faster than men.
Right.
So you're 18 years old. It's like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And a parent's supposed to plunk down how many thousands of dollars for college, and then you don't work in that field, and you have no idea. So I think I would advocate everybody. I don't care what branch of the service you go into, but at least a minimum of 2 years to grow up, to get out from under your parents' wing, learn who you are, learn how to relate to other people and interact with people from all walks of life and different experiences. You kind of come into your own, and you grow up a lot. And I think it's an invaluable lesson.
Yeah. So, and you look, you and I have known each other for a couple of years. And so this is what I love about this discussion. I mean, I didn't serve in the military, but I spent some time in some missionary service a couple of years, and sometimes it's just challenging, but there's some things that I hold about that was so precious to me, a little bit of the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the things that we did together. What were some of the things of the military service for you that like you still hold on to? Is that like this, you said I wouldn't trade it for anything. So what are some of those attributes of the service, your time there, that you still hold on to, that especially those that have taken you to what you've implemented today?
You know what? The right person joins at the right time, where they're so impressionable. Mm-hmm. And at this point in my life, they are so much a part of me that you can't single them out. I don't remember a life before I was in the Marine Corps. You know what I'm saying? My personalities, my temperaments, my habits, I mean, they teach you how to walk. Right. You always start on the same foot. I still walk that way to this day. You still, basic principles and basic ideas of fairness. And if your name's on something, you want to give it your all and put your best foot forward all the time. Have pride in whatever work you do. It used to drive me crazy, because we, as a Marine Corps, you have the lowest budget, you have the least amount of money. Yeah. It's the only branch of the service that is mandated by Congress that it can't get so big. So it's limited. We get hand-me-downs from a lot of the other branches. As a matter of fact, one of my duty stations, I was at 29 Palms, California. Oh, yeah. Which was in the middle of the Mojave Desert, and we do desert warfare training out there, along with a lot of other things. A lot of people don't know this, but that used to be an Army base. Way back in the day, like in the 40s, it used to be an Army base, and the Army actually gave it back to the government and said, this place isn't inhabitable. It's not fit for human life. And so the Marine Corps says, well, we'll take it. Yeah. And so, that's just, and going into a duty station where another branch was there, and you have to clean up, and, you police everything, you clean stuff, you leave it in better shape than you found it, right, for the next group coming in. It's that, you always know who a Marine is by their dress and their uniform and the pride and the fact that so many people went before you, and you're carrying that mantle moving forward, and so many people are going to go after you. So it's not just how you behave, but 200 and some odd years of tradition that you can't let down, and you have to carry that on and hand it off to the next breed that's coming through. There's a lot that goes through my life now, from those basic principles and tenets of pride, and look someone in the eye when you talk to them and give them a firm handshake, and fairness, and diligence, and duty, and honor, those core things that, the content of someone's character is so much more important than anything else. Not where you went to school, or who your parents were, or what kind of car you drive. It's like, you show up, you have a job, and your word is your bond, and you see the job through, regardless. The mindset of, things may look insurmountable and overwhelming, but your training, your history, your breed will not allow you to even foster the idea of failure.
Yeah. So here you have this time that has just been so foundational to your character and who you are and who you've become. And after, honorable discharge, you decide to go into school and go into a restaurant and hospitality. So I think that's for many reasons, I think there's an interesting dynamic between that transition, but why the draw then to, hospitality?
Well, it's interesting because as a kid, back in the day, kids could get a job when they're 13, 14 years old. That doesn't happen now, really.
Right.
I remember my parents taking me down. My mom actually put me in the car. We lived in Lubbock, Texas, long time ago in the early 70s when we moved from New Jersey. And she had to take me to go see the county judge. And I had to interview with the judge so he could sign my work permit.
Wow.
Because my parents believed in earn your way.
Earn it and deserve it.
Earn it and deserve it, right? And so it's like, if you want something, I remember.
Wait, hold on. You mean if you want something, you got to work for it?
Yeah.
We're kind of joking, a little sarcastic, but man, it's becoming almost a lost principle of, there's so much entitled handout. What a great principle they taught you.
I was 15 years old and I worked 40 hours a week, still going to school, still going to high school, 14 years old. And so what happens? What kind of job can you get as a kid? Well, typically in restaurants, you're
right.
bussing tables, you're washing dishes, you're, parking car, whatever. That's the kind of job you can get. And so the way I've always been wired is, okay, you hired me as a busboy. What's my next rung on the ladder? Dishwasher.
Right.
Okay. Now I'm a dishwasher. What's next? Prep. Okay, I can be a prep cook. What's after that? Well, instead of back of the house cook, now you're front of the house cook. What's after that? Kitchen manager. What's after that? Bartender. I always was looking at, okay, what's this evolution that I can go to and learn along the way? And I think, it's one of the things that serves me well now. I don't go into a situation and try and change it. I go into a situation and try and master it first.
Yes.
And it just started at a very young age. And then, so then when I get out of the Marine Corps, my folks were now back in Midland, Texas at the end of the oil boom. And, so I got discharged from Japan. I was stationed in Japan and went back to Midland. It was the end of the oil boom. Didn't really, like what I was seeing in Midland at the time. And Texas Tech had a wonderful restaurant, hotel, institutional management program. They had a top 10 program in the country. And so I figured, I know the restaurant game. I did that before I went in the Marine Corps, and I always wanted to own my own restaurant. I had this vision, I'll own my own restaurant, club, bar, whatever, and live above it. I always wanted that, because if you're there, you're always going to be there anyway. It's 80, 100-hour work week. And how great is it not to have to get in a car and drive across town, but just walk upstairs. You have your whole, above building developed for your living space.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be there. If you're not there,
you're married to your business at that point. If you
absolutely.
Move in. But speaking of married, so you go to school. Was it at this time you met Dana, or did you meet her shortly thereafter?
So interesting story. So I'm enrolled at Texas.
And all I know about you is interesting stories. Yeah. That's all I know about you.
Yeah. So I'm enrolled at Texas Tech, and I'm a senior.
Yeah.
And a company comes to town, as they do their interviews, right? And I go on this interview, and the company offers me a job. And now keep in mind, I'm still working through college. I'm bartending through college. I'm bouncing. I'm doing all those things in the local bars in Lubbock. And there was a point where you had to do so many hours in what they called lab work. And lab work in the industry was essentially you worked in the food halls on campus. Yeah. And so you have to learn, you check, he knows how to do this, check it. And I'm like, well, I'm already doing this in regular business to pay my way through college. Can you talk to the owners of where I'm working, and can they sign off on it? And they're like, no, you have to actually quit your job. Go through the lab programs here. And I'm like, I can't afford to quit my job. I'm paying my way, through. And then this company comes along, and I go on an interview. They offer me a job. Now, they're a company based in Stamford, Connecticut. They have two divisions. They have corporate accounts, which are like, you look at the big buildings like in Dallas, and they have cafeterias and in the bottom of the building for everybody that office is there.
Yeah.
That was their one division. And their other division was corrections. So they put me in the corrections division. So
they probably took one look at you and they're like, corrections. Yeah.
So I was the assistant food service director for Lubbock County jails. And I literally went to jail every day. My office was in the bowels of the jail.
I was gonna say, you didn't go for the office upstairs at the jail and live there?
No. And so I met Dana out. Interesting story. We actually, I went to high school and junior high with her cousin, but we never connected. We never met. And Lubbock's not a big town. They're about 300,000 now, but they weren't back then. And our various high schools actually had a high school reunion at the same place at the same time, but we never connected. We never met each other. And we met one night out at a bar in Lubbock called Borrowed Money. Now, I didn't know it was going to be the theme for the rest of our marriage, but
it's a great foundation.
Yeah. So we connected and we just hit it off. And she tried to track me down because she thought that she was rude to me a couple of days later when I called her. Because I said I would. It's not a big town. So if you say you're going to call a girl, you better follow up.
You better do it.
The word's out. So she thought she gave me the brush off. I didn't think anything of it. All she remembered was she said, I remember you said you worked in the jail. And so I'm picturing a guy in a t-shirt and a hairnet. And I'm like, no, it wasn't like that at all. I had a shirt and a tie. I had county commissioners that I'm working with and all this stuff. But she tracked me down and she had kind of apologized for what she thought was being kind of rude, which I didn't sense that at all.
Yeah.
And so we went out on a date again and we hit it off. And now 29 years later, we've been together, 2 kids, now 5 grandkids. It's just been, and she's my best friend. She makes me the man I am. She is, it's such a truism. The right one will make you, the wrong one will break you.
Yep.
And I absolutely love my wife. She's my Jiminy Cricket. She's my conscience. She just makes me,
well, and I've had the fortune of knowing both of you for a number of years. So it's not just, knowing you, but I know Dana as well. And the interesting thing that I think is a dynamic that not everyone can do is not everyone can work together.
Yeah. I mean, 29 years. And even when I was in the restaurant industry, opening restaurants and managing restaurants, she'd come in, if I needed a head waitress or someone in the kitchen or the dish pit, because I was working 80 to 100 hours a week opening restaurants around the country. And at some point she said, look, why did we get married? I'm married. I'm a single woman that's married because you're never home. And that conversation and the realization that I looked at guys that are my age now, 29 years ago, 28, 27 years ago. And you look at the people that are 50 years old and you say, do I want to be that guy? And I saw a lot of people that were divorced. I saw a lot of people that had substance abuse.
You mean in the industry?
In the industry. Right. Divorced, substance abuse issues, cheating on their wives, drinking. And I didn't want to be that. I didn't want that to be my future.
Yeah.
And so I walked away. I literally walked away. We pulled up and we moved back to Lubbock. And I was in Houston at the time.
Okay.
Moved back to Lubbock, and Dana went back to work in the insurance industry. And, we just, from that point forward, we started looking at some other things, ended up getting into direct sales, was very successful, which is why we ended up in Dallas. We had, our downline was in like 13 states. I was always traveling, and, it's easier to fly places from Dallas than Lubbock. And we had more business in our organization in Dallas than in Lubbock. So we moved out here. And, it was a great lesson, learned a lot, met some lifelong friends that, are still now they're in master networks with us as well. People we knew 20 years ago from another industry.
So it's interesting, you kind of brought now to full circle where you and I crossed paths. I think technically, or when I look back, I crossed paths with Dana first, and her involvement in master networks, you were right there as well. And then you guys really, as you said, you learned how to take what the model of master networks was, to master it, and then continue to make it better. And And we talk about earn it and deserve it. You guys came in, both of you, I know you're on today, but I'm giving both of you credit because you both deserve it for the fact that you both came in, mastered it, became success coaches, which was, as you talked about, dishwasher to this, to like you kind of moved up the ranks, if you will. Mm-hmm. And then that opportunity of earn it and deserve it got placed before you to say, it was Susan Hubeck, who was the regional partner that launched this region with me, to say, hey, I'm going to look at you guys and we're going to earn and deserve the opportunity to be partners. And you guys have done that. And in conversations, you've said something to me, and I know you and I often, we kind of go back and forth. We have some fun statements we say, and we kind of joke around about stuff, but it's the accuracy of it is pretty remarkable. As you say, always be qualified.
Yeah.
And I want you to expand on that a little bit about what that means to always be qualified, and then how that showed up for you to be, eventually a regional partner with Susan and myself and Dana.
I've been fortunate enough in several key moments in my life to be caught doing the right thing. And I think that's important. I've said before, I hate the phrase unsung hero. I can't stand that. Mm-hmm. And I've been fortunate enough to work for people and in organizations that had an eye for talent, and they recognized they were in the trenches. They were with the grunts. They were with the people that were doing the grind, and they recognized people going above and beyond and just doing the extra things, not because someone's watching them, because that's who they are. That's how they're wired. And, I remember I was with one organization, and they were so focused on how many calls you could make. And I remember people coming up to me and they're like, you're still on that same call? And I'm like, yeah. How many calls? Well, I've been on 8 calls since you've been on that one. And I said, yeah, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
Those people, they're calling back now because you solved the problem they called in for. And what I would do is I would open up their whole file and solve the problem that they called in for, but then say, while I got you on the phone, I happen to see this going on as well and this going on. Do you want to address that now? Would you like me to look at that? And so I got the organization to start thinking, well, wait a minute, instead of looking at how many calls people can handle, if we solved all the problems, less people would come back into the queue. Mm. Some of these people are calling back 4 times a day.
Right.
Well, if we solve their problems right away, and doesn't that help with your quality assessments and your customer score quotients if we're solving all their problems? So, I've been fortunate enough to work for people that then would sit there and say, you know what, it's so great to get a promotion or accolade when you least expect it.
Right.
I happened to walk by and I overheard Gary on the phone today, or so-and-so was doing this, or they've been doing the right thing for so long, and our organization is expanding. I can't think of a better person to put in that role. And even if it's not you, the lessons you learn from being a fly on the wall and watching somebody do the right thing, not because they think they're going to get something out of it, because it's the right thing to do. Mm. And I just feel like if you do that enough, good things happen to good people.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have to do it because you think you're going to get a reward. But the beautiful thing in the universe is if you do the right things, you do get rewards.
So true.
You just do. And so I have a basic belief of always be qualified. Yeah. Because you never know when an organization is on a talent search. You never know. The beautiful thing about life is just because you're not in the loop, just because you're not in a know, just because you don't know what the plan is, doesn't mean there isn't a plan. So always be qualified, because I would much rather, as I build an organization, I would rather promote from within. Yes. The people that know the culture and know the systems and know the models and know the products. And then the people around you are happier for you. They follow you because you're their tribe, as opposed to bringing an outsider in. You install them in a position, and then the troops are like, they don't even know who we are.
But sometimes a company might come snatch you from outside, but only if you're qualified, only if you've done the things that would attract them to you. So what I love about this always be qualified is sometimes people will say, well, what does it take for me to be a regional director? What does it take for me to be a chapter president within our organization? And Gary will always be the first to say, well, act like it. First, you have to be it. You have to show up as it to ever get the opportunities. And I think that goes to the society right now of that earn it and deserve it, where it's like, well, if you paid me more, I'd work harder. No, how about you work harder and we pay you more, right? Like that kind of concept, and that can show up in pay, results, opportunities, different opportunities that come your way.
Well, it's not a secret how to be a good chapter president. It's not a secret how to be a good area director. And it's not a secret how to be a good regional partner. It's all available in the back office.
Right.
So act as if. Take the initiative, read the information, and do those things. Act as if. So when the promotion comes down, people in your region will say, well, of course. They've really been doing it all along anyway. Act as if. Assume the role.
Yeah. The secrets of success are already written.
Yeah.
They're hidden deep inside the obvious pages of our training manuals.
Well, it's the people that, it's like the law of the lid, where people say,
yes,
here's the thing. You don't have to have a bank account that looks like a foreign phone number to be a 10.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm studying and I'm mastering the model and I'm learning the things and I'm embodying the things and I'm taking the steps and I'm doing the grind, I'm on track. Everything I'm doing will trend in the right direction to, at some point, I'm living proof of this. In every company that I've been in that I became a success and I rose through the ranks, it's because I mastered the model. Yeah. I did the grind. I did the work. And at some point, you trend in the right direction to where your compensation or the revenue that you bring in matches it. So you don't have to have the revenue right now to be a 10. Right. You have to have the actions. You have to have the belief. You have to have the model. You have to take the steps. And listen, I'm not where I want to be yet in life. I'm doing all the right things to get there. And I know because there's been enough residue from other people and even in my own life that if I continue to do what is required to be successful, then success happens. And what is success? It's different for everybody. Some people think success is a dollar figure. In my mind, success is the ability to make decisions without regret.
Yeah. And so you've been able to do that in fact, with Master Networks, recently we just announced you as the VP of Growth and Expansion. So congratulations on that. So not only the regional partner for the Texas North region, but also the VP of Growth and Expansion, because you proved that in the way you delivered and what you delivered in a region that just shy of 1,000 people in North Texas. So as you look forward to this, as those who are Master Networks members, who say, Gary had this opportunity and it doesn't even need to be you, right? Or Master Networks has been around almost 10 years. Those opportunities aren't available for me. What would you say to a Master Networks member who's listening right now? Number one, for their own business. And number two, just the ability of opportunity, the capacity for opportunity that's available still today.
I would say, first off, if you're having thoughts like that you alluded to into your question, I would say get your mind right first.
Yeah.
Because your mind will create self-fulfilling prophecies. If you think all the opportunities are gone, you're right.
So true.
If you are looking around, poor mouthing your situation and poor mouthing your opportunity, you're actually going to get what you expect, which is nothing. And the truth of the matter is the best and largest region in Master Networks hasn't even been invented yet.
It's probably true. Yeah.
The next VP in Master Networks probably hasn't even joined yet. The ability to build your business is only limited by your mindset. And here's the thing. Let's not mistake some things. Okay. You can have the best mind, but if you have a wishbone instead of a backbone, you're not going to get anything out of it.
That might be Garyism number 3 of today. I appreciate that.
You talk about the overexcited underachiever.
Yes.
Well, there's your wishbone instead of a backbone. At some point you can pay for all these things and you can surround yourselves with all the great people and the great tools, but a good craftsman never blames their tools. At some point, you got to perspire. Yep. At some point, you got to go to work. At some point, you got to do the grind. And if you believe in your company, your service, or your product, you need to be a product of the product. You need to use it. You need to be unabashed in your support and your ability to promote who you are and what you do. And always look for those opportunities. Always look for the next greatest thing. always look for who can I align myself, who can I partner with, and more importantly, who can I learn from? The thing that drives me the craziest is when people say, well, yeah, it worked for him.
Mm. Right.
Okay, so stop for a minute. I probably put my pants on the same way you do every morning, left leg first, then right leg. What do you mean it works for me and it doesn't work for you?
Right.
What you start finding, Chaz, is people don't really want things.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want it bad enough to go through what they have to go through.
Well, and I also think sometimes the opportunities, they've already formatted in their mind what it's supposed to look like. And so when it shows up, it's not necessarily the way they had it in their mind. And so they say, well, that's not it. So let me pass and go to this.
And to your point, I was a little kid laying on the floor in New Jersey watching football on Sunday. Pat Summerall and Tom Brookshire did the games on CBS. Yeah. At some point, I ended up working with Pat Summerall. I would have never, as a kid laying on the floor in New Jersey, think I'm going to have dinner at Pat Summerall's house. I'm in New Jersey. I never thought I'd live in Texas. I never thought I'd work for Pat Summerall. I never thought I'd be at his house. I never thought we'd have celebrities under contract. I never thought that industry would happen for me. But you know what? Open yourself up to opportunities and say, why not me?
Why not?
Why not? And then when that industry, unfortunately, Pat passed away, and that opportunity went away. Mm-hmm. Okay, then, some bad things happened to us with downturns in the economy, which led us to another opportunity, which is our other company, D&G, which led us into debt settlement, which led us into credit, which led us into, working with people to, use the law to support these people, against, onerous collectors and people that violate the law. Well, a bad thing turned into an opportunity, which turned into a 10-year company now that's a nationwide company, which then turned into an opportunity to join Master Networks, which was just a tool to assist us in building our business. But because we looked at it as an opportunity, and opportunities presented themselves, and we said, why not me? Well, now we essentially have two businesses. And now that second business now led into an opportunity to be a VP with the mothership to help other people. My whole focus, in all honesty, is I'm in a hurry for other people to experience what we've experienced through Master Networks.
Yes. Yeah. And if we were all had that urgency and that hurry, because right now the timing is so crucial for people. I mean, when we look at the high unemployment and all of the things that are challenging to entrepreneurs right now, they need a voice. They need people to lean on. So for those who are listening, Gary, who might not be familiar with Master Network, somebody shared this podcast, somebody's reached out. And by the way, if you are a member, please share this to somebody who's an entrepreneur, business leader, sales leader who needs to hear this. I mean, I was just on a podcast with one of our good friends, Ryan Lee with Cashflow Tactics. I was on his podcast yesterday. I actually happened to be at his headquarters in Salt Lake City. And I was being interviewed and he said, Chaz, what I've really just dissected from what you guys do at Master Networks is you really take this complex thing called networking that sometimes has a negative light. And I see that you guys have really mastered the art and science through the bond method and others of how to connect. So for those who may be listening, who see networking as this like transactional thing, this thing that I'm supposed to do in business, I don't really know what it means, build your network, all of that stuff. What would you say to somebody who's a business owner listening to this? Hey, why should I even consider something like Master Networks to be a part of it?
Well, you touch on something real powerful there, where networking has a dirty word or a nasty connotation, and they I think I'm supposed to do this. And you hit on something right there. Most people don't know how to network. They've never been taught how to network. There's an assumption that people know how to network. And going to a cocktail mixer or a chamber event with a stack of cards with the idea that I'm going to hand out all these cards before I go home is not networking. Mm-hmm. That's littering. Mm-hmm. You network when you build a relationship with someone, where you connect with someone on a base level, where you have something in common with them, where you're cheering for them, where you are invested in their success, whether it means anything for you or not. And the thing about Master Networks is we champion the local business person. We champion entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, salespeople that eat what they kill. And the reality of it is it can be a lonely existence, because your competition's not going to tell you what they're doing to be successful. As a matter of fact, they're cheering for your demise. And what Master Networks is, it's a network of like-minded individuals that are around the country that they provide camaraderie and fellowship and support because they've gone through what you're growing through right now. And they're your unofficial board of advisors to see that you make it out the other end stronger. It provides personal development and professional development because there's ample evidence that suggests mankind is better off the more educated we are. And so there is weekly training to bring out the best in you. So no matter what industry you choose to represent, you can dominate that industry in a local matter to be the best in that industry in your local community. And lastly, we provide a way for you to generate more return on your investment than you've ever thought possible. And we truly believe that you are one relationship away from changing your future. And so our focus first and foremost is to work with local business owners. You notice we didn't say small business.
Right.
Because when you're a local business owner, there's nothing small about what you do. You're providing a lifeline to your family, to maybe countless people in your community that you employ. That's not a small endeavor.
No.
And so you're a local business owner, and we provide that support and guidance for you. Now, if you want to stay a local business owner, Master Networks can make you succeed beyond your wildest dreams. But if you have bigger plans, like you want to not stay local and you want to go regional or national, Master Network provides that network because we encourage people to build relationships, not only within their chapter, but across chapter lines throughout their region and also from region to region. And so, what I've taken is the statistic you shared a number of years ago that say roughly 80% of local businesses fail in the first 2 to 3 years. And to us, that is an unacceptable statistic. And, we've taken it upon ourselves. I've made it a personal mission to reverse that trend. How great would this local economy and national economy be if we could reverse that trend and had 80% of local businesses be successful, as opposed to 80% of local businesses failing in the first 2 to 3 years? How many lives could that impact in a positive way? And how many other businesses could that spawn? And how many new industries could be created? And how many new inventions and discoveries and cures might come out of people being empowered?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was just at a charity event this last week, and that was what they talked about. And they need revenue, they need money, they need funds and resources to make these things happen. Well, when your local community is doing well and the local business owners are, guess what? That's who was in the room. And they're looking at business owners who are successful, saying to us, hey, could you donate? Could you add your resources? Where could you help? Where could you serve? That becomes then your business becomes that resource and that tool to help serve these things. So, Gary, our time is always short. Like it goes like that with you and I. Yeah. If someone wants to learn more about you, they want to connect with you. How can they find you? How can they connect with you? And how can they learn more about Master Networks to grow their business?
Well, obviously, you can find out about our initial business. If you have credit issues, if you're looking to build a business, credit is a big thing. If you're trying to buy a house or finance anything or grow your life or provide a better lifestyle for your family or your loved ones, you can find us at dngcredit.com. That's www.dngcredit.com. Be more than happy to visit with you and analyze what your circumstances are and provide assistance, or at least point you in the right direction if we can't help you. Master Networks, you can go to masternetworks.com. There's so much, there's video there, there's questions, there's FAQs, find out more about joining or launching a chapter or launching a region. There's tons of information there. You can email me directly at GaryLaRue@masternetworks.net. I'll be more than happy to do a face-to-face, interact with anybody, answer any questions you might have. And you know what? Master Networks is the fastest growing networking organization in North America today. And in some parts of the country, we're still the best kept secret. And so I would be more than happy to assist anybody in bringing Master Networks to their local community and helping that local community thrive. And you know what? You said something a long time ago. When you created Master Networks, it was based on some other things that had happened in your industry and in your life. And we didn't know what it would look like when it reared its ugly head again. We were coming out of a pandemic. But the reality of it is, something like this happens in every industry, whether it's an economic situation, whether it's the oil drops or the price goes up or tech goes crazy, something happens. And the strength of your network will insulate you from varying disasters in whatever industry you're in. And I would encourage anybody that's watching this show to work on, it's not too late. It's not too late to invest in building your network and insulating yourself from the vagaries of other people infecting and damaging your industry. And start building that insulation, that protective wall, and that's your network.
Yeah, very well said. And you know, just because of time, we didn't get a tremendous amount of time to talk much at all about D&G credit. But as Gary said, you guys need help with any of that stuff. I mean, I've you know, referred you guys several times. I've been a client in the past to look at things. I mean, it's a great resource and tool that many people think, well, it's only for those who are really, really credit stricken. There's always ways you can improve your credit. D&G credit is the way to do it. So reach out to Gary and Dana there, and then also connect with them at Master Networks. And Gary, it's been a pleasure to have you on. First of all, it's been a pleasure to know you and Dana over the last few years, and then to have you here on the show to discuss what I thought, for me, the direction I wanted to take, which I loved what you shared today, is where people can see a path for them to succeed. And right now, there's this idea going around that someone's going to come help you and someone's going to come save you. And the reality is all of that power is in your hands. And Gary is a great example of that. And so, guys, as you're listening today, I want you to share this message with people who need to hear it. Entrepreneurs, as Gary said, you know, it's a tough fight to be isolated and to try to do this on your own, and your networks insulate you. So if you want to learn the power of networking, the power of building relationships that are significant, that are supportive, and will help you achieve success, then come do that at Master Networks, because we're the best at what we do. We're the best at building these relationships. We take the complex idea of complexity of networking and turn it into simple, straightforward ways to do that and to build this network. So come join us at masternetworks.com. And again, every Monday, noon Central, I'll bring you successful people like Gary, who are going to share ups, downs, the successes, the struggle, and help you see how you can achieve success through your network. So until next time, guys, be well, connect, share, and prosper. Take care.
Stop hoping for your business to grow and start mastering the formula for success that every entrepreneur needs to grow their business. Join us for 5+1 Mastery, where every week we go in depth on how to grow your business the right way. Learn more at 5+1mastery.com.